quick note as we get started for everyone joining. This is a recorded session and participation is encouraged in our chat, or you can unmute and raise a hand. I'm going to give another 30 seconds or so to let additional people join. And we'll get started here in just a minute. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Women in Motion Burnout Prevention Virtual Event. My name is Kelly Oberhart with Kone Spares, and I have had the privilege of sitting as chair for Women in Motion. I am thrilled to see so many of you joining us today. We have members from across NAEC as a part of our Women in Motion community, all coming together to engage in a conversation that is really timely and very important. Burnout is something many of us have experienced, whether quietly or openly, and today's session is about recognizing it, understanding it, and most importantly, learning how to prevent it. This event is part of our broader Women in Motion initiative, which is committed to empowering women in our industry through connection, education, and support. Today's session is the first of 2 virtual events we're hosting this year, and it's been thoughtfully curated by Women in Motion committee members, Charlie Meeks Crystal from DEM Elevating Equipment in Delaware Elevator, Vanessa Klein from Kone, and Brittany Brothers from Lift Logic Advising, to offer not just their expert insights, but also real personal stories from our very own members. So whether you're here to learn, to reflect, or simply just be seen, we hope this session provides you with tools and inspiration to take or even take back control of your well-being. And most important for today, this is a space for community. We encourage you to participate, ask questions, and share your thoughts throughout the session. So thank you all for being here, and let's get started.
Absolutely. So today we're going to talk about burnout and prevention. So our agenda is as follows. We're going to start with a poll and some burnout background. We're going to talk about why prevention matters. But then we're going to cover some signs and symptoms, effects on individuals and organizations over time, some strategies to combat burnout, and then we're going to dive a little deeper with the let them theory. We're then going to have some Women in Motion feature stories and personal coping mechanisms. We're going to talk about how organizations specifically can help. Then we're going to have some closing remarks followed by a Q&A. And feel free to enter questions in the chat throughout our Q&A. We'd love to see, what you have to say and answer those questions at the end. And our little tagline here is feeling the burnout creeping in. You're not alone, and you don't have to tackle it alone either, which is so true about this community. So to start us off, I'd like everyone to scan this QR code and answer this question. You'll see that it's 100% yes, because I personally feel that I have experienced burnout in my career. So this question is, have you ever personally experienced what you think may be burnout in your career? And I'll give you guys like 30 seconds or so to scan this QR code. They're rolling in. Wow. So we've got 15 responses. Awesome. "23 responses, 24. This is so cool to see it live. 25. Okay. All right, we're going to go with that 25 responses. So 88% of you are saying yes. I've got 11% maybe. I'm just writing this down. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I want to start by going into some, more scientific research that I've done. I want to say that I am in no means a mental health professional, but this is solely based off of research and my personal experiences. And I think all of us feel that exact same way. So just wanted to throw that out there. So did you know that 76% of workers report experiencing burnout in their current job? That's a lot. And this highlights and emphasizes a widespread issue that many of us encounter. So whether you're starting your career or you're a seasoned professional, burnout is a challenge that affects us all in our jobs. We see it every single day with our colleagues, our friends, our family. Again, it's a widespread issue. So what is burnout? I feel like this phrase is thrown around, it's thrown around a lot, right? I'm like, oh, I'm so burnt out, or I'm just feeling burnt out, but it's more than just that. It's more than just a feeling of being overwhelmed. It's truly a condition that's marked by physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion that is due to prolonged stress. And understanding its nature and manifestations is the first step to really combating it. So we're going to dive a little deeper here. So why does preventing burnout matter? In today's fast-paced work culture, preventing burnout is essential. And I know that all of us working in the elevator industry are working in a very fast-paced environment every single day. There's constant change. There's constantly something new that we're working on as a team, as individuals, whatever it may be. And it not only affects productivity and performance, but it also has significant implications for health and our overall well-being. So these are some interesting stats. Employees who frequently experience work burnout have 63% more likely to take a sick day. That's a lot. And are 23% more likely to visit the ER. I thought that was pretty astounding. The ER, like, that's rough, guys. And this is why addressing burnout can lead to happier, healthier, and more productive lives for us all. And that's why we're all here today. So some signs and symptoms that you may be experiencing if you have burnout. So physical is persistent fatigue, sleep disturbances, which could be bad dreams or like, you wake up in the middle of the night scared or you have a hot flash or something of that nature, and frequent illnesses, whether it be colds, sinus infection, even a tummy ache. Also emotional signs and symptoms. So feelings of cynicism, or irritability at work, and even a lack of motivation. I think we've all probably experienced some of this in our lives. And then mental, so decreased focus, feelings of hopelessness, and a lack of concentration overall in your job. So again, these are signs and symptoms. If you feel, you have burnout, this is probably explaining exactly how you're feeling. So how does it develop? It develops gradually, and if it's not addressed early, it can become an extremely vicious cycle. So it starts with stress, and then it progresses over time to severe exhaustion, and it eventually leads to burnout if no intervention is made. And again, I want to just reflect on what burnout is. It's more than just feeling overwhelmed. It's a condition that's marked by physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion that is due to prolonged stress. I just feel like putting that out there again is so important so we really understand exactly what this is. So effects on individuals over time, your health. So this can lead to chronic stress and anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments if it's not addressed. In your career, it can decrease your performance, it can cause disengagement among your team, and it may result in career stagnation. Organizational impact over time. So this is how that burnout, if many colleagues and coworkers of yours are experiencing burnout, this is what it's going to do to your organization and your team over time. Increased absenteeism. Those experiencing burnout are going to want to stay home. They're going to avoid work. High turnover rates. You're going to see people constantly, turning over, starting different jobs, leaving companies. It's just a vicious cycle. Decreased employee engagement. Again, they're not really going to feel like they're loving what they're doing. They're not going to be engaged. They're going to have low productivity, there's going to be dysfunction among your teams, and it's going to negatively impact the bottom line. And let's face it, unhappy employees leads to unhappy customers. If you're dealing with, someone at a company, they're unhappy, you're their customer, it's going to trickle down, and that trickle down effect can be detrimental to your organization. So a little bit of a deep dive in organization and employee relations. So employee burnout statistics show that the number of hours people work each week is a crucial factor here, which that does not surprise any of us, I'm sure. So burnout risk actually increases significantly when employees exceed 50 hours and climbing even higher after 60 hours of work each week. But how people experience their workload has a stronger influence on burnout rather than just hours worked. For an example, an engaged employee who has job flexibility tends to work more hours per week than the average employee while reporting a higher well-being overall. That is very, very important. Flexibility is everything in today's work culture. So this means when people feel inspired, motivated, and supported in their work, they do more of it, right? And that is significantly less stressful on their overall well-being. So in other words, it's not just the number of hours that you work, it's how you're managed and how you experience your work during those hours. Are you supported? Are you motivated? Do you feel like you can go to your boss and talk about things? All of these are very, very crucial factors in keeping employees happy, keeping them motivated, and making sure that they avoid this burnout. So now that we've covered it a little more and we've really discussed exactly what burnout is, the signs, the symptoms, the effects on individuals, I'd like to ask you guys again to scan this QR code and vote. So again, now that we've covered it, we thought we'd ask again, have you personally experienced burnout? And again, I have the yes, the no, and the maybe. So I'll wait for you guys again, probably around 30 seconds or so to answer this question.
The link might not be working, Charlie,
Oh no, really?
but I'm a yes. We probably have a lot of yeses out there.
Yeah, okay. Huh. All right. Well, forget that then. I'm assuming that many of you are just going to say yes, considering 88% was yes, and 11% was maybe. So I'm just going to assume that probably 100% of you are saying yes at this point. So individual strategies. We're going to talk about, again, some individual strategies to combat this burnout. So self-awareness, time management, self-care, setting boundaries, which is very, very important. And both Vanessa and Brittany are going to cover this topic. And then seeking support, whether it be colleagues, loved ones, friends, mentors, or professionals. So self-awareness. I want to open it with these two notes here. Experiencing a variety of situations and challenges can help you develop a deeper understanding of your emotions and your triggers. So by recognizing patterns in your emotional responses, you can gain insights into your behaviors, thoughts, and this is going to foster greater mental and emotional clarity. So this is something that I actually recently heard. I was attending a women's leadership event. It was actually right after spring conference. I was so exhausted and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I want to be there. I hear this woman who's speaking is incredible. And she was. Her name was Moira Kukaba. And she asked a very powerful question that really kind of rewired my brain and changed my perspective on anything that would be of contrast or negative that I would experience in my work life, my personal life, anything like that. And she started with contrast equals clarity. So when you're dealt with, a difficult situation, maybe you're dealing with a customer who's just not treating you nicely, how is this going to give you clarity? And how it gives you clarity is asking yourself, how is this a gift? So I do this all the time now. So anytime I'm faced with an issue, I'm like, okay, you know what, Charlie, center yourself. How is this a gift? Put your mind over your matter. And an example that I have that relates to my life, before I was in the elevator industry, I was in the fashion industry. I worked on many different teams across a few different organizations, and I had this one woman on my team, and she was very, very difficult to work with. She was just unpleasant, unfortunately. And I tried so hard. Like, I'm someone who is friends with everyone, and she just wouldn't work well with me, with my team members, with anyone. And this woman really, like, from the outside, she had it going on. I mean, she had a fantastic career. She had a wonderful family. She had all of these things going for her, but she was so negative all the time. And so now I look back and it's still kind of, when I think about it, I'm like, oh, I wish I could have gotten through to her. But it really shows me, like, how is this a gift? So working with her was a gift because it showed me, hey, this is how you're never going to treat anyone on your team. This is how you're never going to treat anyone that you manage or just anyone in your life. Like, I like to always be positive and kind and, reinforce people to do well. So that was a gift because actually one of the things it did for me is I looked at this woman who had such a wonderful career. And again, she was not happy. And I was not totally happy working in fashion. I just felt like I was kind of monotonous. Like, there were some really great things, but the day to day wasn't great. And it kind of gave me a platform to be like, I don't want to continue this. I want to try something else. And then I came into the elevator industry. So even though that was much contrast in my life, it gave me clarity. And how is this a gift? So I encourage all of you to ask, anything you're dealing with, how is this a gift? And you can use this in work life, your personal life, anything like that. So I think that this lesson has been one of the greatest lessons that I have learned. Also, time management. So time management is difficult. We're all, running 100 miles a minute in different directions. And I like to do this thing called drop and divide. So I still make notes, which is very old school. And there's tons of apps that we can use nowadays to kind of organize our lives, right? But again, I'm still putting things in a notebook. So I drop and divide daily, weekly, and monthly. And this allows me to prioritize my tasks into 3 categories. So I have work, I have personal life, and then I have other. So my other was MBA responsibilities. The past 2 years was getting my MBA. I actually graduate tomorrow, so that is no longer going to be in my other. I'm going to have to fill it with something else, which I'm sure I will. But you could also do, professional development or a side hustle or anything can be your other. But getting everything out of my head and putting it on paper really helped me to streamline my next initiative, how I'm going to implement, my next task, and help me just, again, not be overwhelmed. Because when everything was in my head, it was like, again, the feeling of burnout and being overwhelmed and not sure like what to do next. But when I can actually categorize things, put them in front of me, and show like, okay, this is feasible over the next day. And at the end of the week, I'm going to complete this. And by the end of the month, I'm going to have all of these tasks completed because I categorized everything and I made it make sense for me. So another thing that I'm going to ask of you guys to look at and try to do in your own lives if you're not already. So now I'm going to pass the mic over to Brittany Brothers, and she's going to talk about self-care, boundaries, and support. Take it away.
Hello. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hello, ladies. And I think there might be one gentleman I heard. Welcome to our session. Whenever I was first asked to speak on this subject, I worried that I wasn't a good candidate to speak on this subject. But Charlie actually encouraged me that I am, because what I've done throughout my career is I've seen signs of burnout and I've tried to pivot every chance that I can to try to avoid burnout. So to start out, I'd like to just kind of share a little bit about my story and my career so far. So again, I feel like I'm not someone who really hit burnout and had to like claw my way out. Instead, I feel like I'm someone who's consistently feared burnout or a stagnant career. So I've made bold moves to avoid it. And I'll explain a little bit more about those bold moves. But really, every career decision that I've made so far in the elevator industry has been to avoid that burnout and stagnant career. So I started with Otis Elevator, and within 5 years, I was quickly moving up the ladder. I was really proud of like my career path. I was worked my way from just a sales rep all the way up to a corporate trainer, and I loved what I was doing. But along the way, I realized that I was headed towards a life that I could see basically my career unfold in front of me, and I could see that I was in a very secure position working a typical 8 to 5. And this was something that I would hold likely for decades. And it wasn't that I was unhappy, but I was just afraid that I was going to wake up 10 years from now and feel burnt out and just feel like I'm in this mundane cycle and wonder why I hadn't lived more. So that fear made me step back. I assessed where I was. I realized I had a strong resume. I had my MBA, and I've worked so much that I didn't get to spend any of my money. So what am I saving for? Might as well try to do something different that I wanted to do with my life. So my husband and I decided we would step away from our careers. We had a strong enough, again, foundation that we would just try traveling. And so we did the frugal backpacking, couch surfing, kind of just, it was one of our goals in life that we wanted to do, is just be able to just be free and be like grounded and like just experience what else life had to give besides just a career. I understand that it is very unorthodox for a lot of people, but it's what we needed to do. And so after we returned, we came back with a lot of clarity. Originally, I thought I would join Otis again, but then SnapCab had reached out to me and offered me an opportunity with the vendor side. So I said yes, and I actually ended up loving it. I was able to solely focus on just cab interiors. And I felt like I was able to master like a niche segment of the industry without having to wear all of the many hats that I did at Otis. So there, I was thriving for many years, but then I started feeling that just familiar twinge of just not burnt out, but just stagnant. I could just see what was ahead of me again. I started fearing like, what am I missing out on by not challenging myself to grow my career? And then I started realizing that I didn't have any other growth opportunities within SnapCab. So I realized I needed to pivot. I needed to make a change. But it was a great job, and I enjoyed the people I worked with. I enjoyed the clients and everything. So I didn't want to jump ship. So I decided, what can I do to make what I'm doing day to day more rewarding? So then I started getting really involved in organizations like the NAEC and BOMA, and those groups gave me this fresh purpose and like platforms to grow and present, and this new sense of momentum within my career. And that was great. It was really good, actually. It kept me where I was for much longer, but then I still realized just my day to day of what I was doing, it just felt so mundane, and I felt like I had so much more to offer than that. So I knew I needed to change. So I gave another well-planned departure notice and left SnapCab. But this time it was a little bit different. I didn't have a solid plan really for what was to come next. I just knew that I had a good network from all of the presentations and involvement within the NAEC. I felt like I had good experience, good resources. And I knew that stepping away, I could potentially fail, but I didn't think that I would fall very far. I felt like I had enough under my wings to find some good place that I would be comfortable with landing. So I told myself I'd take the summer off, let me focus on, where I want to be career wise, and, really focus on just what lies ahead of me. And it actually only took about 3 weeks of being able to just step back and having the mental space to really dig deep into what I want with my career, and really look at my strengths and my passions and what I want long term. And then I realized really the only way that I feel like I could ever fully feel accomplished and challenged is if I decided to serve the industry kind of on my own terms and create my own path. So I launched Lift Logic Advising. And now I get to work with people that I feel like I completely align with. I get to choose partners that share the same values, the same customer eccentric approach, and that are passionate about people and eager to grow. And I feel like I can work with them to position themselves better, help them reach the right audiences, and just overall just make a bigger impact with what resources and experiences and credentials that I have to offer the industry. So I definitely feel like the past 15 years of my career path it's been necessary to help me build the credentials that I've had to build to get to where I am today with Lift Logic. But really, if I could attest to anything, I would say it's more about the people that I know, the organizations, and the network that I've invested in that's really made it possible for me to come to this realization of opening Lift Logic. And it's funny, as I was putting this together, I was like, it sounds like I'm just pitching the NAEC. That is absolutely not my motive here, but it certainly did help put some, wind beneath my wings and help me give me the confidence that I needed. I felt like I had more potential than what I was challenged with in my day-to-day work. But it was definitely the NAEC that gave me that affirmation that, yes, we also see this potential in you. You should be doing something different. In my opinion, life is short. And sometimes whenever we're working so much, work can make it feel even shorter. So just don't get stuck. Take care of yourself, take breaths, give yourself the opportunity to think clearly. I know my story is not really ordinary by any means, but hopefully it offers optimism to anyone that's walking between the lines of like burnout and a breakthrough. And burnout doesn't always show up in a crisis. It sometimes creeps through like discontentment, basically. And the best prevention isn't really to always have all of the answers, but to just ask yourself better questions of, is this working for me? Am I growing? Am I happy where I'm at? And it's not one step that if it's not if it's not working for you, then just one step in like the right direction might start helping you realign. So whether that's involvement in building your network or reaching out, staying in communities, eventually you'll start to see a clear path. So that's my story. And now I'd like to just share a little bit more about some things that I did to take care of myself, create those boundaries, and create that support to help me get to where I'm at today. So I really love, someone had shared this with me, and it's called the happiness chemicals. And these are all natural ways to receive dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, and serotonin. And they're all just things that we should be doing daily to take care of ourselves. So anytime I have a bad day, or anytime I'm just mad at my husband for, I don't know, just looking different today, I don't know. I'm like, okay, have I taken care of myself? And I pull up this screenshot on my phone and I'm like, all right, which one of these can I do? I need to check off at least 4 of them to make sure that I'm taking care of myself some today. So dopamine, eating well, achieving a goal, getting rest, taking a bath. Those are natural ways to receive dopamine. Another happiness chemical, endorphins, exercise, laugh, call your friend, your best friend, talk to them on the phone, listen to some music as you're driving to an appointment. Oxytocin, socializing, being in a network, petting animals, sure. Physical touch, helping others. I mean, you help others all the time in your job and your career. So, make sure you're feeling good about that as well. Serotonin, just stepping outside and letting the sun touch your skin, that is self-care. Practicing mindfulness, going on a walk on your lunch break, for example. So just make sure that you're checking some of these boxes throughout your day, because if you're not doing these things, then you aren't setting yourself up for contentment, no matter what you're doing. Even if you have the best job, if you're not still taking care of these easy ways to create self-care and get those happiness chemicals pumping, then you're still going to find yourself discontent. And so I also think in a workplace, especially demanding workplaces, you've got to learn how to set boundaries. So if you want, just feel free to take out your phone, just take a picture of this, because I'm not going to go through all of these, but it's just things to make sure that you're using more frequently to help set these boundaries of, someone says, hey, I need you right now. Then it's like, well, I don't have time for a last minute appointment today. Like it's okay to say no. It's okay to manage your own schedule and not to let someone else manage it for you, because you know what you have to achieve during the day. And so you put out this, I know everybody works a little bit differently, but you put together your schedule. And if you don't set boundaries, then you're not protecting what your deliverables are. And if you want to grow your career, you need to set some boundaries to be able to protect what you can actually perform and provide to your company. And the best way to do it is make sure you have those boundaries. Make sure you're confident in saying these things to your superiors, your bosses, your coworkers. So hopefully that helps. And then lastly is just seeking support. I know I mentioned the NAEC. This is an NAEC event. It's a great opportunity to get involved, to build a network. Mentors is the first thing on this list. And the mentors that I have tremendously helped me. And it's crazy because none of the mentors have been a situation where I've had to reach out to them and say, would you mentor me? It's people that throughout the NAEC and throughout my involvement have said, I see potential in you. Let me help you get there. So it's amazing whenever you actually put yourself out there, how many like-minded people are going to start following you and start wanting to build with you. So definitely put yourself out there, get involved, expand your network, lean into friends and colleagues, lean into, these sort of presentations, these opportunities to get involved in our industry more, and it'll make you feel certainly more connected, but then it'll also really help launch your career and help provide you with options, support, and just the community that all of us truly need. Any questions? Oh, I don't know if we're taking questions. Should we hold till the end? Okay. Well, that's all that I have to share. So maybe if you have any questions, put it in the chat, or I think Charlie's going to do questions at the end too.
Yes, put them in the chat. We'll do them at
Okay.
at the end. But Brittany, thank you. I mean, your story is incredible, and you're such an inspiration to so many of us. I feel inspired by you every time I speak to you. So
well, thank you, Charlie.
You're incredible.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to have Vanessa Klein from Kone, and she's going to dive deeper with a book recommendation. So, ready, Vanessa, to take the mic?
Thanks, Charlie. And I agree, Brittany. Inspiration to all. And also, I have to tell you, I think my dopamine levels went up when I waxed my eyebrows yesterday and did my roots. And I did that all for all of you, all 48 of you. So
absolutely.
So yeah, so here we are. Here we have it. So just a little bit of where I got to this book. I'm kind of considering this a Bible. And also to Brittany's point with finding the NAEC, I'm not sure if it's a coincidence that the time that I was reading this book, I had also joined the NAEC last year. So I guess it was probably a year and a half ago. I've been in the industry for 20 years, basically grew up in it. My father, my brother, my uncles, my husband, our Thanksgiving tables are nothing but elevator talk. And, I guess using the words "it has its ups and downs" is a little cliche, but it did for me. But a year and a half, I found myself completely disengaged, just not happy. You know, 2 kids at home, 6-year-old, 3-year-old, husband, work, demanding job. I am a sales manager, so I have a lot of sales reps under me, 4 dogs. Although everybody said I was doing a great job, my job was happy with me. My husband said he was happy with me. My children said I was the best mom. I personally didn't think that I was giving anything 100%. So I had to basically say, okay, I'm not going to leave my job, right? I can't do that. I'm not going to leave my husband. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get rid of my dogs. I don't need a break from my family, but I need a break from feeling the need to control the fact that I have to make everybody happy, because you can't do that. And this book, the Bible, I suggest everybody get a copy if you already don't. And I kind of, Charlie, thinking about it, we probably should have taken a poll to see who actually is a Mel Robbins fan. But
I bought it yesterday.
did you? It's life-changing. So, you know, I read the book, I took the notes, I have the workbook. I find myself, you know, kind of going back to it daily. But I just really wanted to share with you guys some of the takeaways that I got from it, because I think as women and men that are working hard and have families to take care of, you know, the need, just the want to, you know, be everybody's everything at all times and constantly be on, can really burn you out. I certainly definitely was there, you know, as far as crying in the shower every day, you know. And I can honestly say that I am in such a good place in my career, in my marriage, making time to be present with my children. So when I'm with my children, I'm 100%, maybe 99.9, because I always have to look at my phone at some point. But my husband gets his undivided attention. And this book has just kind of given me kind of my life back. I'm not biting my nails as much. Just it's a whole host of things. So Charlie can get into it, but these are, you know, just some takeaways from the book. So kind of what we've been talking about, burnout triggers, overcommitting, right? I mean, who has a calendar full of, you know, X, Y, and Z, and then you have another calendar that you totally are keeping on the side, and you're overcommitting to pretty much everything because you want to make everybody happy. Well, you can't. People pleasing, me all the time, always happy. But then you go home and everybody's seeing that happy side of you. But when you go home, you're seeing the not so happy side of you. And I think that that is probably what we all are doing, you know, looking at yourself in the mirror sometimes and being like, everybody else is getting what they believe is the best side of me, but that's not really the version that I'm giving myself. So perfectionism, emotional overload, all burnout triggers. So the book has this let them mindset. Basically, let them feel a certain way. Let them judge you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them walk away from you. It's all right. Focus on your boundaries, your energy, and your peace. That took me a very long time. And for those of you on here that know me, you can probably attest to the fact that that's probably one of my biggest issues. Not so much anymore. I am very much a stronger person. I have seen huge growth, and it's not so much about the book or, you know, I will say joining the NAEC and being part of this community and being, you know, getting the chance to serve on the committee, just meeting everybody and talking and seeing that we're all in this together. We're doing it. We're staying afloat. Sometimes we're drowning, and that's okay. But the book basically talks a lot about, oh, can you just go back one more? Sorry. The book basically, here on the bottom, you release your control to protect your energy, reduce the burnout in both your life and the workplace. Let them approach offers a simple, liberating way to reduce the burnout, because you basically have to manage everybody's perception on how you're seeing yourself versus how you're seeing them. And releasing that control, you're essentially just being like, everybody's going to live their life, I'm going to live mine. Here's some liberating lessons. 1, if they want to go, let them. Stop begging people to stay, to like you, to treat you differently. If they walk away, let them. That's not rejection, that's redirection. Some people are meant to pass through and not stay. Goodbye. 2, this is a big one for me and probably most people. You don't have to fix everything or everyone. It's not your job to manage how others think, feel, or behave. Let them be. It's not indifference, it's healthy detachment. This works well with bosses. 3, you can't control people. You can choose, but you can choose your boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls, they're guardrails for your heart. Stop contorting to be digestible. Letting go is coming home to yourself. And that's kind of like the thought that I was saying before. You know, the world is seeing, or they think that they're seeing the best version of yourself sometimes, or who you believe you are. But, you know, you have to show up to yourself every single day. And, you know, you have to feel strong. You have to feel beautiful. You have to feel smart. You know, it's one thing for your family and your coworkers or your boss or your children to say, you're doing a great job, giving you the gold star, you know, you're, you know, winning awards, you know, your husband's bringing you home flowers, but if you're not feeling that for yourself, you know, it really, all of that doesn't matter. So the boundaries are unique to each person, obviously, and they help define where one person ends and the other begins. So that's a crucial part of maintaining your own identity. 4, another big one. People don't have to like you. That was really hard for me, but now I don't care. Stop explaining, be rooted in yourself. That kind of freedom is electric, terrifying, and honestly, extremely holy and refreshing. Let them underestimate you and keep showing up. Let them think that you're too quiet, in my case, mostly always too loud or too ambitious, but you don't have to be small. You just keep growing. If they don't want to see the sparkle, they can turn the light off, but you shouldn't. So before we end and before I get the mic over to Veronica, I just want to let everybody know that Mel Robbins, fangirl over here, is actually speaking at a women's leadership conference in Philadelphia, September 25th. I will be there. I'm hoping some of my Women in Motion ladies and gentlemen will also join. I think Charlie said she wanted to. I know Kendra wants to. So feel free to email me. We could possibly get a table, but if you haven't already gotten the book, I'm not joking around when I tell you this is a game changer in your life. Workplace, personal, home, all of it. And with that being said, Veronica has a good story for us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Vanessa. That's one of my favorite books. I'm reading to that, and it's been a game changer in my life, too. I'm gonna tell a little bit about me. Everyone knows me, but I have a long time ago, I get in the hospital because of burnout. All my right side of my body. One night, my husband, I started screaming, and I can move my face, my neck, this side, because I was so stressed. As you know, I run a company. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good mom. I am a sport mom. I am so many hats in my life. So that day, I remember that my husband took me to the hospital, and I was there sitting down, and I have a whole spasm in all my right side. And I remember that I need to travel to an event. I don't remember what. And my son jumped in and said, "Mom, do you need to relax? You need to relax because all of us, we're gonna stay over here, and you're not gonna be here to be with us." And that moment, it was and my daughter crying, and everyone say, "Oh, I need to stop and put boundaries in my life." And I'm the owner. I have a benefit that sometimes I stay at home and I shut doors. I need my peace. But I start doing something. I start to put myself, I wake up earlier than everyone in the morning, and I drink water. The first thing that I do in the morning, I drink water. I start moving. I pray. You can meditate. You can connect with universe, whatever you want to do. But I prayed in the morning and dedicate my life and my day. I take 3 minutes to gratitude, everything, because my kids are healthy, because I wake up this morning, because I have a great day, and I dedicate 3 minutes for gratitude. That's the first thing. And that started my day a little bit like sinking my day. And I visualize how I want to be my day. If I have a mind, this customer, I've been thinking about this customer. I want to do this process. I have this big meeting that I want to achieve. I visualize my day. So at least I create like a roadmap in my mind, how I want to be my day look like. Even I always take lunch. Okay, today I don't want lunch. I want to take a break and I want to have lunch outside and take a minute or half an hour, whatever, because I want to step out of the office and take a walk and get the lights on. You know that it's a hormone reset. It's very important that we go out and take a little bit of sun. That is it's a hormone reset, as Brittany says. And also move. For me, people think that for me, workout is like, it's no option. If not, I'm gonna kill someone. I need to, that's my, I need to work out. Because after that, yesterday was a day that I feel like I feel very anxious. And JP, my son, look at my husband, go and do workout. Because if not, we're gonna suffer over here at home. So go and release those hormones, those bad hormones in other place, not over here. So I take my things and I go and work out, because for me, it's a stress release. It's a really good way to release those bad hormones that I say, oh, my bad hormones. And different things that you can, it's very important that you hydrate yourself very good. Drink a lot of water. When you are stressed, the lack of water in your body and everything, you start feel weakness, and your mind start like blurry, and you're not thinking correctly. Very important. Always sipping all the time. I even have a calendar in my cell phone. Drink water, a sip during the day. That help you a lot with all the fatigue and everything. So all the things that the girls I've been applying to myself, because I have so many hats, and I don't want to be back in the hospital. I want to be present mom. I want to be a happy wife. I want to be a good boss and a good friend. I want to be there for all my people that need me. And it's okay to not say no. It's okay to say no sometimes. So that's a personal story about me. And who's going, Kelly? You are going now.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Veronica. Our stories are so important because they normalize those feelings and situations that maybe you think you're experiencing alone. Today, the story I'm sharing is not mine, but I have the privilege of sharing an anonymous burnout story that was submitted to our committee and what action they chose to address it, showing that not every path is the same. They chose another big action, and it paid off overall for their well-being. The anonymous story submitted was, my burnout came from working too many hours and taking too much on myself. While in charge of 2 departments and 5 geographical areas, I was traveling locally by car 3 to 4 times per week, supervising over 50 people. So once I got to where I was going, I was inundated by the people that reported to me. However, I cared deeply about being there to support employees, and I made them my priority. This resulted in having to work late hours and weekends to get my work completed. I was unhappy, unhealthy, and it really was unsustainable. So finally, my contract was up, and I made the decision not to accept an extension offer and move forward with another company. This was not an easy decision, as I was leaving friends and even family at my position, and I felt a responsibility for them. However, when I discussed it with my family and considered ultimately, I decided it was the right decision to make for me. I took a position that was remote work with no reports. I also made changes in my personal life. I decided to put me first and got healthy, and they note that they're in the best shape of their life now. Although their new position has less responsibility and compensation, they note that my life has completely turned around for the better, and I can say that that is worth so much more. So thank you for your submission and allowing us to share that with this group. And I'll pass it over. Brittany, thank you for sharing earlier. I will pass over to Rachel Hirinko from Accredited Elevator.
Hello, and thank you everyone for sharing today. When I first learned Women in Motion was doing a topic on burnout prevention, I thought, what an informative subject. Then, me being an overthinker, I also realized the sensitivity that came along with it, the long hours, the strains it puts on our relationships. It's emotional. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rachel Harenko. My story began 16 years ago with Accredited Home Elevator. Thinking back, I think we had about 15 to 20 employees when I was hired, and I was the bookkeeper. As a go-getter, and with previous construction knowledge, I was never shy to lend a helping hand. As the company grew, so did my responsibilities, probably like most people's stories here. Over time, I had learned the ins and outs of the industry, from running a service department, sales, permits, payrolls, insurances, HR. I even implemented a field management system. Whatever was needed within the office, I made sure it happened. Here's lies the problem. Fear of failure. I never said no or set boundaries for myself. Instead of hiring someone with the proper skill set, I would spend countless hours teaching myself techniques. And then work became my identity. Fast forward 12 years, the company had grown exponentially. We expanded to multiple states. We began to assemble our own products. Our employee count was steadily increasing. My work hours were 60 plus hours a week, and I was falling behind. Burnout, to say the least. This was also about the same time the company announced a growth expansion. Everyone would think wonderful news, right? Not for me. I was literally in shock and didn't know how I could handle anymore. My immune system was weakened. I had migraines every night. I was in brain fog. My temperament change was terrible. I had no personality anymore. I went into hibernation mode. All signs of a burnout like we discussed today. Looking back, I thought all of this was normal, and I thought this is what a salary job entailed. At a young age, I was taught work hard, establish yourself, be successful, pretty much get the job done. Nobody ever taught me work-life balance, and that is something I did on my own. My first step doing that was approaching my boss, and that's where I think the importance of having that good communication is. I let him know that with the current expansion and the role I held, I was not the person to fulfill those goals. Butterflies in my stomach, yes. But after I spoke with him and he was understanding and helped support my decision, there was huge relief. Few months later down the line, I couldn't understand why I still felt stressed. This is what I would kind of call like the burnout prevention recovery stage. Nobody prepared me for the letting go part of this. Watching people make mistakes, remaining silent so other can learn processes that need improvement. It's extremely humbling. But what I've also learned is my right could be the new wrong. Free time, I never had any of that before. I hadn't the slightest clue who I was. But I also use this as an opportunity to rediscover myself. It was a silver lining. So if anyone is fearful here today about speaking up about burnout, you owe this to yourself. I know we touched on several self-care topics, but breath work has been a really powerful tool for me. I know when our body is under constant stress, we go into this fight or flight mode, aka survival mode. And this affects everything, your sleep, digestion system, blood pressure. But when I'm at work, I don't really need to be saved. I just need a tool to help me. And that's what breath work has done for me, along with meditation, yoga. I changed my sleeping habits. I'll close with this and say having a burnout prevention system is key for any successful business or employee. While these methods may not be perfected and are continued practice, I hope some of these align with you. And I will pass this over to Sarah Waterman.
Hey, 1 second before Sarah starts, are we going to be cut off at 2, Deanna? Because we've got 2 minutes.
No, we'll still be up, so we are good to go.
Okay, I'm so happy to hear that. I was very nervously watching the clock, like, oh no, I hope it doesn't cut us off. This is so good. Hey, Sarah, your turn to shine.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Yeah, I was curious. It's the same thing. I know we're running short on time, but I
Oh.
think it's a great conversation.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you to everyone so far for your stories. I think one thing that strikes me is it can be hard to share. I feel like sometimes it can feel vulnerable, but that's why we're all here. So my name is Sarah Waterman. I'm a partner and owner with Washington Elevator. Before that, briefly, I was in facilities management for many years, and then I was recruited into the elevator industry. So I'm about 30 years almost in the industry or dealing with elevators. Worked for a large independent in the Seattle market, and then went to a global corporation. And I think at that point, with my different positions, I just kind of became aware, like a lot of everyone's talking about today, of I was just emotionally becoming disconnected to family, maybe disproportionately worried about my career or the company. I would come home at night, I'd be crying. I didn't feel as inspired. I always felt like I was a creative person, and I was losing that. And I just realized I needed a change, and I wanted to make that change before it became serious, because it was starting to physically affect me. And so kind of similar to Vanessa's experience. But I had a corporate career as a working mom outside the home. So I started to struggle with imposter syndrome, and not that men don't deal with it, but I feel like women sometimes can put that extra pressure on themselves. So I pivoted, and I decided to bet on myself. And so a couple of years ago, I left the corporate world, and I joined as partner and owner with Jason, my business partner, with Washington Elevator in the Seattle market. So it wasn't easy. There was also imposter syndrome going from, hey, you've got the golden handcuffs, as you say, and some job security, but being miserable. And so how do you transfer those experiences, the skills you learn, but not the transference of imposter syndrome, or where you feel like you can't do it anymore, into a company that I would represent and have to hold myself to a different standard. So I really realized with my Washington Elevator experience to make sure I surrounded myself with like-minded people. My business partner is amazing. And just looking at my kids too, and having a different perspective, recognizing, hey, we have one life to live. And so my daughter, who's in high school now, I remember even in middle school telling her, hey, don't surround yourself with drama or kids you don't like, or if they're not real friends, and kind of talking about negative energy. And I realized as an adult, I had to do the same thing and hold myself accountable too. You kind of teach it to kids, but then you forget to do those things when you're an adult. So having that support system, and just, I think for me, just taking those little moments, just look at the blue sky. I think some of us have talked about walks. For me, that's been a big deal. Just getting that fresh air, 20 minutes to yourself even. Maybe you don't even listen to a podcast. It's just time for you just to kind of think and just be at peace with just enjoying the day. One of the things too, I think was really important for me is I started to identify myself as what I did instead of who I was. And so I became, I think, in a sense, overwhelmed, and that contributed to the burnout, versus really taking a step back and recognizing it's who you are. So part of my real joy and passion right now is, as a business owner and a woman, is to be able to find people who also I'm seeing are burnout, or maybe need a change and need to have that support. And so working on my listening skills for others, and having my team be a part of a company where they feel that support that maybe perhaps I didn't, and making sure we don't allow burnout in our company. And so, for example, one of my sales reps, it was a beautiful week in Seattle, and I said, hey, Emmy, I want to play hooky tomorrow. How about I play hooky tomorrow and you take Friday, and we'll cover each other? And it was like the best experience, a very simple example, but just giving each other that freedom to, like, hey, take in life, absorb it, work will still be there, go enjoy the day with your family, go enjoy the beauty, go get some fresh air, and everything was just fine. So thank you for the opportunity, and appreciate Women in Motion for this platform, and to continue to network and share best practice on the subject.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I remember it was when you first joined the NAEC, you and I had a phone call, and you were so interested in joining Women in Motion. And I'm just so happy that you're here and you're sharing your story. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to segue here. How organizations can help. So we've covered a lot of this, but this is kind of like a little bit of a recap. But create a supportive work environment. Discuss responsibility and performance goals with your employees. Collaborate with them to ensure that expectations are clear and that goals align. Promote flexibility. This is one that resonates very much after these conversations. We want a flexible work life, work and personal life. Encourage regular breaks. Here at Delaware Elevator, my colleagues go on walks a lot around campus, and it's like they'll get like 2 and 3 miles in and lunch and in the afternoon, and I think that's fantastic. I love to see them out walking together and taking breaks together. Also, reasonable workloads. You can't expect one person to do the job that 5 could do, right? So very, very important. Rachel, I think you felt that. And then provide resources. So at Delaware Elevator, there's an app we have called Wellable, and it provides insights to like health and wellness and fitness and how to eat correctly. So it's just another platform that we provide that has been really, really great for our employees. And they actually like compete with who's healthier, who's working out more. And it's really cool to see that they're really interested and into it. There's also an app called Headspace that you can practice mindfulness, and a lot of people really love it. So maybe check that one out. Also, employers providing mental health support, employee assistant plans when needed, and personal days is crucial. So some more on how organizations can help, and this is the biggest one. So provide positive feedback and recognition. What does that do? It boosts confidence. A few kind words can reinforce strengths and encourage growth. It builds connection. Recognition strengthens teamwork and makes people feel more connected. It improves performance, so employees who feel appreciated are more engaged, productive, and loyal. And it enhances well-being overall. So feeling valued contributes to lower stress and a more positive work experience. So how to put this into practice? Say thank you and be specific about what someone did well, right? I feel like that's very, very important. Give shout outs in meetings or team chats. For example, social media and company newsletters too are great avenues for this. I love to put shout outs on social media. If an employee, accomplished something really awesome, I think that's super important. And they really appreciate it too. And also our company newsletter, we love to share some great things that our employees are doing in our company newsletter. Also celebrating milestones, whether it be a big milestone or a small milestone, celebrate them. Encourage a culture of peer-to-peer recognition. So that's incredibly important too. Encourage your employees to encourage your employees, right? That makes sense. And then write a quick note or email to recognize someone's effort. And if you guys like this topic, we're actually having in Houston, Texas, Vaughn will be presenting on 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. So if you've seen him present, he's absolutely fantastic. And I know it's going to be a great one. So we would love to see all of you ladies there. And gentlemen, I believe there's a gentleman on this call as well, our allies. And then I'd like to add the statistic. So 80% of employees who say they have received meaningful feedback in the past week are fully engaged. That's crucial. So I'm asking you guys to all act today. So encourage oneself to take one step toward burnout prevention, be it taking a short break, reaching out for support, working out, cooking a healthy meal, spending time with family and friends, or practicing mindfulness. Small steps today can lead to significant changes tomorrow, and you got this. We believe in you. We're here for you. So some key reminders for prevention. There were various individual and organizational strategies that were discussed that can really, really help. And I encourage all of you to utilize the ones that we shared. Tools and resources, again, apps like Headspace to practice mindfulness, time management tools to aid stress management, looking within your circle of friends, families, and colleagues when it's needed. Those who love you are really the best resources. Whenever I'm having a hard time, it's my husband, it's my sisters, it's my best friends, it's my dad. I'm really reaching to my inner circle, and they'll understand you, and they can offer really good insight too, because they know you, right? So some closing remarks. Prioritizing burnout prevention is crucial for long-term health and productivity. By taking proactive steps, we can foster a healthier work environment and personal life. And then again, Women in Motion is here for you. You can always reach out to any of us. This is a community of strong elevator women and our allies. So my little tagline again, feeling the burnout creeping in, you're not alone. and you don't have to tackle it alone either, because you have a whole group of women and gentlemen, allies, that are here for you. So now we're going to have a Q&A. So feel free, I know it's past 2, guys, but we'd love to have questions, conversation, or if anyone just wants to speak towards burnout, like we're so happy to hear anything. So feel free to raise your hand or speak up. And if not, that's okay too. All right. Is everyone good? No more discussion? That's okay.
Don't forget to put the book in your Amazon carts.
I did yesterday. And don't forget, Vaughn is presenting in Houston, and again, it's a appreciation. Oh gosh, I'm gonna mess up the title now that's not on my screen. But what was it?
It's the languages
Five
of
languages.
appreciation in the workplace.
Thank you. Yes, 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. So
Right.
we'd love to see you all there.
Yes. So on behalf of NAEC and Women in Motion, thank you all for attending, and thank you to our presenters for dedicating their time to showcase this very important topic. Wishing you all a great rest of your day and looking forward to the next time we're able to connect.
Yes, can't wait. Thank you guys so much.
Everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks, guys.